Hello, everybody, and welcome. May I start with introducing myself first? I'm Alex, also known AlexK. I'm an artist. I love to paint, as you can see, maybe a bit in the background. And I also love to write. So I recently published my first book. It's called Light Up Your Soul, Healing from Anxiety and Depression Through Art. And I'm very proud and happy of this book. Some of the paintings I do, I sort of will introduce a bit about myself and what I'm doing first before I talk about my little journey. This is one of the fairies I did a few weeks ago. And you can see in my paintings I always used like purple, pinkish hair. Maybe because my own hair is red, pink, purple, pinkish. And I also love to use affirmations all the time, so I incorporate an healing element into my art. I've got another one I can show you right here. It's one whimsical girl, just representing a part of me with a unicorn, because I believe we have the unicorn. Everybody has a unicorn as a guide within our divine team. So now, what is my book about and what am I about? I'm also a health coach and a life coach. And when I did the certification of it, I kind of knew I wanted to help people, and I got drawn and dragged into this anxiety and depression field, because what I realized that in my teenager years I was suffering from anxiety. But because I was growing up from Germany, as you may hear, back then in the 80s, 90s, anxiety was not a thing. I've never heard about it until I did my research, when I started to attract clients to me who are suffering from anxiety. That's when I started to do my research, to really get into this field of how one can help out of these mental diseases. And that's when I realized, holy crap, I had this all my life long and I just didn't know it was a thing. I just dealt with it and it was uncomfortable, and I was even embarrassed to even talk about it as a teenager and young adult. So I started to kind of live with it. But what I realized also, when I started really to tap into my artistic skills, I'm also a photographer. That's how it actually started to be more creative. And then a year ago, 1.5 years ago, that's when I started really to tap into paintings and realized, hey, actually, I think I can paint. And then I started to be bold enough to combine both my health coaching experience and the artistic skills, because that's what helped me to be creative, to be in my muse and paint or take photos, to be in nature, connect with nature, and connect with the magical world in my paintings. That's when I realized how you actually can combine it, because art is healing. Art is like a meditation. And in my book, I concentrate on healing from anxiety and depression through art. And what I do, I use mixed media art, which is pretty much using any art supply you can imagine. I use crayons, I use watercolors, I use acrylics, washi tapes, I use gesso, then I use stencils, and lots of funky collage paper, origami paper, which I really love. So how do I combine my coaching experience and also my spiritual journey, and how I helped myself through anxiety when I was a teenager? Subconsciously I did it. I had no clue about it back then, or a few years ago. So what what my book pretty much does, it is a workbook. It's not a book you just read and you read it and then you're like, okay, cool, let's see if that works, and then you're not doing anything about it. If you are like me, you just keep reading and reading and reading and not doing anything, right? So I wanted to make this different. So that's pretty much a workbook where you have to go through certain lessons. I'm showing you a bit. So in the first introduction, of course, and prepare for success, we clearing space, we create your own little art space. We make sure you find time in your calendar, so you schedule in creative time for every day for at least half an hour. That's really, really effective, even if it's just you have maybe, do I have it here? A little, of course, I put it to the side. I'll show you later. Art journals, you can use bigger one. I've got a small one as well, because you won't have time for hours every day. So we got to be realistic. So at least if you use a little bit of an art journal and do something every day, that's already making a huge, huge, huge impact. So that's how we kind of make room for success before we really dive into it. And then before we start to dive into the psychology of it, the first thing I also is we need to first let go of our inner critic before we do art. Because remember, this is not about creating art you're gonna sell. Maybe you do, maybe you are already an experienced artist, then that's not for you, maybe. But for the ones I'm talking to and for my readers of my book, it's about the process of creating something using your intuitive mind, your subconscious mind. You pick the colors you'd feel drawn to. You create what you feel drawn to. And yes, I give you guidance. And yes, you can do exactly what I do. But then I encourage you also to use your own intuition, because that's where the healing comes in. Our subconscious mind knows exactly what needs to be healed and to be released. And we do this through colors. We do this through painting faces, fairies, whatever you want to paint. And what I notice for myself is sometimes my faces look very innocent and sad. Sometimes they look very happy and freaking confident. And it's because I was at that stage going through these phases. So I was not consciously creating and painting that type of facial expression. It happened because I fully subconsciously trusted of what I was painting. That's how freaking amazing this art healing journey can be. So once we let go of this inner critic, I'm not good enough, I can't paint. Like for me, for instance, in my childhood, in my school years, I was told by teachers, I suck in art, I suck in writing, I'm too dumb even to do university. Well, guess what? I've written on my book, I'm painting, and I show it. If somebody likes it or not, doesn't matter. I like it, I share it. And whoever resonates with it is gonna like it too, or gets, or at least feels inspired to do something similar and heal yourself out of this mental diseases. You may have noticed I call it diseases because I don't believe it is a disease. It's not an illness, it's a mental habit, and we all can get out of it. Depression for me, it's most of the times, there might be exemptions, so don't shoot the messenger, but that's how I feel it, is when we are totally misaligned with our soul, trying to fit in because we want to be liked, we want to be whatever, or we regretting the past, dwelling in the past because the past was horrible and we keep getting stuck in it. Or anxiety is focusing on the future and worry about the future because we are not trusting our own abilities. We are not trusting the universe and our angels and our divine team. And that's where we create these mental loops of not trusting, trying to fit in, to be liked, to not loving ourselves, to not be accepting ourselves, and all of this nonsense. And that totally misaligns us with our soul. And with my journey and my book and my art classes, that's what I'm trying to help you to change, to align with yourself, to align with your soul, and to listen to your soul. And some people may not like meditation. That's a really helpful tool, of course. I struggled with it in the beginning. I'm okay and I like it now. But art is very similar, just by painting and just letting go of everything. You just focus on your paint, on the color of the way it looks like, what material you choose in the mixed media. That's a similar type of meditation, very, very effective. And my very first lesson then in my book, it's chapter 4, it's manifesting your goals creatively. You can see I'm using paintings from Alice in Wonderland because she was following the rabbit, because she knew inside of her there's something more to it, to this, compared to what she was experiencing before. And she was curious and followed the rabbit, fall into the rabbit hole. Well, and you know the story. And that's what I really trying to help you achieve as well before we start to heal. It's what do you want to have achieved by the end we finish our lessons? What is it you want to heal? How do you want to feel? It's really connecting with your goals, to be specific on what you want to have achieved, but then it's also to understand and connect with your why. Just a simple example. I want to have a car. Well, why do I want to have a car? Well, I might say, well, I want to have a car because it's easy to get around, okay? Or I feel my friends accept me when I have a car because my friends all have a car. You kind of see when you go deeper into your why, you kind of realize, well, maybe it's not the car I need. Maybe it's not the car I want. I just want to feel accepted by my friends. But maybe there are other goals I need to achieve, I want to achieve in order to reach that. Maybe your goal is then, it would be better formulated. I want to have a happy circle of friends. I want to feel connected with my friends. Well, that is one great goal, and you need to then to detach from the outcome, because these might be not your friends you're having right now, because once you shift and be truly who you are, you're gonna attract the right people. So if you are suffering from any mental diseases or stress or burnout or whatsoever, you might subconsciously actually hang out with people who are actually suffering from the same thing, and you keep dragging each other down. So what if, when you now align yourself with the goal to be fully healed from it, to be feeling fulfilled and content, and you wake up in the morning with a zest for life? If that's your goal and you're reconnecting with your goal and why you want to feel like this, then you automatically shift your energy and you start to attract friends who are more aligned with your new way of being. Does this make sense? And it's not just simply set a goal, I want a car, blah, 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 I want to be accepted by my friends. It goes deeper. And we're gonna do this also in a creative way, of course. We create our own affirmation board where we use a photo of yourself. Can you see that? And we use affirmations instead of pictures of a magazine. And yes, just to let's show you here, I've got step-by-step instructions in here. So you can fully just follow each step by step and use your own things, own prompts, own intuition, own colors, own anything. The second lesson is really clear your worries and make room for your wishes. And that's where I go deeper into and explain what is anxiety on a mental level. What does it mean? How do you actually got there? And what are the tools which help you to get out of it in an artistic way? So it's not, you can imagine you could hire a coach or a psychologist, or you have, I'm not saying don't, I'm saying that is a really powerful tool in addition to what you're already doing. But a coach would, for instance, ask you questions, you would answer the question, they would help you by asking the right questions to come up with your own solution and revelation, for instance, and awareness. So that was what is making you change the energy and outlook on life. So, but I know for a lot of teenagers and young adults, it's pretty hard to actually open up to somebody and talk about this type of stuff, right? I was like this. I would not talk about this at all. So that's where I find art is a really great tool to reach exactly the same effect, because I'm giving you prompts in my book which you can go through, and then we create art together. And the way I typically do this, you would start writing down, for instance, all the worries you have. You write it down on your piece of blank paper. Then we will start painting. We'll start painting a background, for instance. Use stencils, colors, watercolors, spray bottles even. Anything you can imagine, and we just totally wipe it off the paper, pretty much, because we layered over it. So all your worries are literally gone. Now we create your painting, whatever it is. Maybe it's an animal. I have used a lot of animals in my book and in my art as well, because I truly believe they all have a spiritual message for us. And or we paint a representation of you, which are the whimsical girls or the fairies or unicorn or any of that. And then while we paint, we are shifting our mindset. And what is it you want to have instead? We let go of the past, we let go of the hurt, we let go of anything what happened in the past. We acknowledged it, that's why we've written it down, we expressed it, we let it go, and now we're ready to create something new, our new story. And then we shift our beliefs, and I help you with prompts of how you do that. And then you come up with your own affirmations. For instance, for me it was, I am loved, I am aligned, life is easy and fun, I travel around the world. So I've written down all the affirmations I needed to hear at that moment in time when I was creating it. And it looks nice, and you hang it up. So you can see there's nothing left from all this negative stuff we've done because you painted over it. But what all is left are these positive information. And that's a great way to have this in your room, hang up the wall wherever you want to, and to reconnect, to reread your affirmations of what you want instead. And that's for me a way of transforming your beliefs, your limiting beliefs, transform it into empowering beliefs. Create your own relevant affirmations, and I help you how to do that. And then create a beautiful painting. And it might be just in your art journal, which doesn't really give you the pressure of performing very well and to be perfect, because that's not what it is about. It's about the whole process of creating something beautiful for you. And if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. There's this beautiful, cool thing called gesso. And with gesso, that is a prime white color. You just go over this and it disappeared, and then you let it dry and you start again. That's simple. In an art journal, even easier. You just skip the page and start again with another page. It's so easy. I know I keep saying that, but it is. The third lesson is about release the past creatively. That's where we go into, well, what is an event, what really keeps you stuck, which keeps you in negative thought forms. But also another topic I use in that lesson is the bullying. I have been bullied when I was a teenager. Until a few years ago, I still got bullied. Until the day I really learned how to get out of it and not to be bullied anymore. And I explained the whole concept of what it is about, why you actually get bullied, and what is going on within the bully. And once you really are aware of that, you realize you're much stronger than the bully. They just want to get your power. That's why they do this. So once you know that, your energy already shifted. And I've got a beautiful art task as well in my book about the bully, where we cut cords with your bully. That's something we do in here. And then we create a girl representing you, and you can see that. That's your aura. So we want to make sure that your aura is clean. And nobody, no other's energy is in your aura. It's just you. Your beautiful, shiny aura, which is protecting you from any bully in the future. So that's a really cool thing to do. Once we cleared all this, and it can maybe depends on your past and what you want to release. Remember, it's up to you. I'm not forcing you to release anything. It's really up to you what comes up for you in that moment. That's why this book is really helpful, because you can actually reapply the whole lessons over and over and over again. Because remember, we have more than one layer which we need to heal in order to be aware and grow and grow and grow. So because the last two lessons can be quite heavy. That's why I wanted to do something easy and fun, and that is gratitude. And instead of a gratitude journal, which you probably heard numerous times, what I'm doing, I'm creating with you an attitude journal. So you've got we create a journal, a booklet, and instead of writing in it, you can write, but it's more about art. Creating art is being grateful. And gratitude is focusing on what you have instead of what you don't have. So that's already shifting your energy. And then the last chapter, how to stop self-sabotage and move forward. You can see again, that's a painting from Alice in Wonderland with her little rabbit here, her friend. And if it zooms a bit further, you can see the little birdie has got a key. And what I want to express in here is you have the key to heal yourself if you choose to. Sometimes we look around for outside sources and external material things to confirm what we need to hear and la-di-da. But in the end, we've got the answers right in here. And in that picture, Alice just needed to look up to this birdie and grab the key and unlock her heart. The lesson about self-sabotage, we all have it, we all do it. And believe me or not, I was a freaking champion in that. Self-sabotage, especially what I noticed with my coaching clients after 4 weeks, 5 weeks, definitely, everybody fall back into their own old habits and stopped progressing. And it was fascinating to watch it fascinating to see what's going on. In the first few weeks, we get excited, something new, oh my God, cool. And then you can see improvement happening. You feel better. You're like, oh my God, cool, on the right track, let's do this. But then subconsciously, something is not healed yet. Subconsciously, our brain has got, they call it the part, critter brain. I think they call it something else. Can't remember. Anyways, doesn't matter. But that part of the brain is always trying to keep you safe, which is a good thing, right? But it's not necessarily constructive. It's not necessarily always working for us. Sometimes the change is needed in order to heal. But that part is like, no, I don't know what that shit is about. That's new, that's changing. I'm not gonna change anything. Stay where you are. That's safe because I know what it is. Even though you're consciously going, no, I want to change because I want to heal. But subconsciously, no, but I don't know. Maybe something bad happens if you do that way. Maybe you lose your friends because when you feel better, then you lose your friends. But then you're lonely. So don't change. Or it's, if I change my habit and I'm healthier and I'm creating more, then others make fun of me. Or so I'm not accepted, I'm not loved. These are these type of nonsense we keep telling ourselves subconsciously, and we're not even always aware of it. So with this exercise in here, I help you to get aware of it, to realize what is stopping you subconsciously from actually progressing. And then I show you a way of how to shift it. But already knowing what is going on is already helping you to change your energy, to shift your energy, to move out of it and to progress and keep going until you're healed. And then you still keep going. Of course, we always keep going and growing. That's life about, right? Yes, and a really exciting exercise I have for that one is the Snow Queen, Frozen. You know that, here it is. That's you, that is you before you change, before you go on a journey. You're sad, you can't really see what's going on. You wear this material crown thing, but you're not happy, you're sad. And then we transform and are aware of what is holding you back. And then you shift into this beautiful princess. She on purpose doesn't have a crown on top of her head because the material stuff you have does not matter. It's about what you have inside your heart. And you remember from Frozen, it was only true love of her sister could change her and help her through to defrost. And I kind of put a bit of spin on it and say, well, only true love to yourself is helping you to shift. Makes sense, right? And again, it's your thing coming up with your own affirmation of what it is you need to be healed. Yes, and then the last, what I also included in each lesson, for one lesson is meant to be for 1 week. You can stretch it to 2 weeks. And what it does also is it gives you art journal prompts for every day. So you use, for instance, a certain color, use a certain animal. You go out in nature and pick some flowers, come back and paint the flowers, something like this, just to keep you going in case you're looking at your blank piece of paper and don't know what to do. So I give you prompts, which helps you to keep going. And in addition to this book, I have each single lesson has one additional art journal lesson with instruction and exercise and prompts on my website, which you can download for free once you purchase my book, which gives you even more lessons to heal from. So yeah, that's about pretty much my book and my art. And why am I doing this? Because what I mentioned before, that I had a part of me where I struggled from anxiety as a teenager and a young adult. I was on my path where I was just trying to fit in, to be liked, to do the job my dad wished me to do, even though back then I would say I actually liked it, but now I realize over the years, no, there's more to life. I'm not born accountant. I don't want to die as an accountant. There's no way in hell. I want to do something more. My soul wants me to do more of that, of my life. And then I started all this creativity stuff. The light looks really funky, actually. Anyways. Yes, and that's where I feel now totally aligned. Create art, write books, and hope to inspire you and give you the message that don't label yourself with these diseases, because they are just mental loops and you can get out of it. And yes, you might need your support from your doctors. That's fine. But I encourage you, in addition to that, what you already need and take on, create art. And even if you don't want to create art because painting is not for you, that's totally fine. What about photography? What about cooking? Being creative means so much. Creative could also mean you go in your garden and you plant, you play around in your garden, you do landscaping, you maybe invent some new exercises in sports, or you cook, use certain ingredients and figure something out. That's all creative. Even if you create software, it's creative, you know? It's whatever is resonating with you. I'm just giving you the message. Connecting with that creative side of you, which we all kind of lose, because most of the time, not all of us, of course, but most of us are in jobs where we just use the logical side of our brain, the left side, but we don't utilize our right side of the brain. And the right side is all this creativity, which is in all of us, and it needs to be expressed. And my message is also, don't try to fit in, because you were born to stand out. And I hope to see you in one of my classes. And I hope I was inspired you to get my book, to check it out, and heal whatever needs to be healed. And also, even though you may not have anxiety and depression, which I really hope, then it's still helping you going through the process, because every one of us has something we need to heal in order to grow, personally and spiritually. Okay, I hope to see you soon in another video where we create some magical art together. Bye!